102.1 KFMA, that of course is Smashing Pumpkins, and I never even considered that Billy Corgan and Bill Burr all look similar. Just beyond the fact that they're just like, bald white guys, middle-aged white guys. But now I'm looking at them in a whole nother light based off this recent interview clip that went viral with Billy Corgan. He was sitting with Howie Mandel for whatever reason doing a podcast, and he had a Bill Burr story. Have you heard the Bill Burr story?
No.
Okay, check out what Billy had to say about his potential relation to Bill Burr, the famous comedian.
So, about 10 years ago, my stepmother said to me, "Do you know who Bill Burr is?" Now, at that point, I'd never heard of Bill Burr. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was a comedian or he could have been the guy down the street.
Right.
And she said, "Well, he's this comedian, da-da-da." And I think I even somehow called up a picture on a phone, and I kind of noticed right away, like, gee, he really looks like my father.
Ooh.
Bill Burr looks more like my father than Bill Burr looks like me, or I look like Bill Burr. So I said to my mother, like, well, why are you asking me this? I thought maybe the first thing she was just going to say, oh, he just thought you noticed the resemblance. She goes, I think it might be one of your father's illegitimate children. Bill Burr might be one of the children that your father sired in his days on being a traveling musician. This is a true story. I'm not making up. There's no joke in this. This is a true story.
Yeah, so it said that Bill Burr might be his brother. Now, how could this be? Well, apparently Billy Corgan's father was a traveling musician as well, and a legendary man whore. Apparently, he may have illegitimately fathered up to 12 children.
Wow.
During his run, and his stepmother knew this, so. They say that it could be completely possible because they're similar in age. And when Billy Corgan turned 18, his dad told him that he had a half brother named Bill. Not to mention that his stepmom does think that the dad had so many illegitimate children that this could possibly be the case. Now, I feel like Bill Burr knows who his dad is. And ultimately, I don't think Billy Corgan buys it. Now, this is his quote. He said, "It's my belief at this point, because I've sat on this story for 10 years, that I don't think Bill Burr and I are related. Just one of those things. They're just people in the world that look alike." And that's true. Mm-hmm. There's doppelgangers of everybody out there. I've met a couple myself. I felt really bad for them, too. I'm like, oh, you look just like me. Yeah, poor son of a bitch. But have you ever, had any... revelations that you had a sibling that you didn't know about when you were an adult?
I mean, no big revelations, but my dad and my mom, my dad was 31 or 32 when they got together.
Okay.
And then my dad was in the military.
Yeah.
He has told me some conquering stories. I'm like, wouldn't that be wild if I had a half sibling out there that he just didn't know about?
Right. And well, that's the question I want to ask you guys. Has anyone out there discovered that you had a sibling when you were an adult? And then if that's the case, I have a series of questions to follow up on that, right? So 600 KFMA, 600-5362. Was your dad a man whore? Let me know. Here's following in reverse, Voices in My Head at Rock 2.1 KFMA. All right, we're back here live on the podcast broadcast. So I'm playing Sublime, and, we're talking about the Bill Burr thing. We did get a call from Mike, who said that he discovered that he had an older brother who had his same name, same first and middle name, and still hasn't tracked him down after all these years. Guys, are just not curious like that, which is, I think,
they're not.
Hilarious. I think any woman would be like, I need to know who this person is. It's going to be my BFF. Guys are like, yeah, I guess somebody's out there has my same identity, and hopefully that life is good. Hopefully, it was bad. Yo, with Ozempic ruins Thanksgiving energy. Oh, okay. Is your wife on Ozempic? Did she not enjoy the cooking? Did she cook a bunch of celery? Now I need to know there, Todd. An Ozempic Thanksgiving. Did you eat a lot on Thanksgiving?
I did. I always do.
What was on the menu?
So we had sweet potato casserole, turkey. We went pretty normal with that.
Just baked it.
Just baked it.
Yeah. Did you brine it?
Oh wait, you know what? He spatchcocked it. That's where they pulled the spine out.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
yeah,
and
make it flat.
flatten it. Yeah, and then just a little flavoring here and there. I think even rosemary. It wasn't anything.
It was
huge.
White people seasoning.
Yeah, pretty
disappointing.
much. Yeah, and then green beans. I don't we just didn't do anything that fancy.
Okay, well,
my girlfriend did make this pecan bars. It's like a pie, but like, oh my God, it was delicious. I probably ate most of it. So good.
Yeah, I had pecan pies and pumpkin pies as well. My sister does it up. She brines the hell out of turkey.
Yeah.
It was good. Here's a side-by-side of Bill Burr and Billy Corgan, by the way. You could see similarities, but honestly, it's only because they're just two bald, middle-aged white guys. So they, I never looked at them and thought one looked like the other. But, of course, in that clip that Billy shared, he said that Bill Burr looks exactly like his father, more so than he looks like his father. So it'd be a trip. I looked at Bill Burr's Twitter to see if he addressed it at all, and it doesn't look like he does. So, but imagine being Bill Burr and having someone say, you know, like this other celebrity, I might be his brother.
Yeah.
You know, and you get sent that clip. You know he's getting sent that clip sent to him like over and over again, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And he's just like, enough with this. I don't even like the Smashing Pumpkins. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's my Bill Burr impersonation. But I thought that was fascinating. And, you know, Billy Corgan, he's out there grinding away, working as best as he can, and get all the money he can to basically fund his wrestling passion, which is the NWA.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he'll take all the festival gigs that he can get, but that's becoming a shorter list over time. As it was announced that Sinch New World is canceled. And we're going to talk about that a little bit on air, because I do believe that the more and more of these mega festivals canceling, it opens up so much opportunity for stations like ours, KFMA, to be able to host a proper KFMA day again.
That would be wonderful.
Yes, and you guys know, the streamers know, the reason why we haven't done KFMA Day is because of money, dude. Because these bands want way too much of it to perform. It's just not feasible financially. Because we don't want to bring back KFMA Day and say, congratulations, all right, we got this sick lineup. It's only going to cost you $1,000 per ticket.
Right. Well, in these huge festivals, they shell out the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
They do, but they're stopping because, again, this is not the first of the mega festivals that have canceled. In fact, actually, it's just adding to a long list. Let's see. List me the music festivals that have been canceled in 2024. Sorry, I should have had that already. But I want to get a good list. And on the air, I'm going to sound smart as shit. It's going to be great.
You're going to be on it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. 52 seconds. We'll talk about that. But again, there is a silver lining to all bad news. And it is bad news if you planned to go to Vegas and Sinch New World. If you've been to the previous two, which were headlined, of course, by System of a Down, it's almost like a System of a Down curse, right? System of a Down said, we're not doing Sinch New World for a third year in a row. And then America responded with, well, then we're not going. So System of a Down is the sole draw in Sinch New World because, I mean, all these other bands, as fantastic as they are doing tours. Like, you could see Metallica, as Metallica just went on that massive M72 tour where they did 2 nights of their entire catalog in a stadium. So if you're going to spend a lot of money and you're a Metallica fan, you want the Metallica experience, not the emo Sinch New World type of experience.
Right, 45-minute set.
Right. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. We're live on the podcast broadcast talking about the benefits of Sinch New World canceling, which, of course, is bad news for music fans, but good news for us, those of us who live in Tucson and don't get all the mega festivals. Now, of course, we've had a lot of festivals announced over the past 10 years grow bigger and bigger to the point of implosion. And now a lot of them have been announcing that they are no more. Pitchfork Music Festival recently announced that there will be no more. And then, of course, Sinch New World, there's a whole list. Like Life is Beautiful was canceled. You know, that was another, I think, Vegas festival. And on top of that, in fact, actually, I'll list off all the music festivals that were canceled just in 2024 alone, okay? Because this is a growing trend and phenomena that actually we want to root for here locally because it will benefit us in the long run, and I'll tell you why. But here's all the festivals. The All In Music Festival, done. Backwoods at Mulberry Mountain, done. Beale Street Music Festival, done. Blue Ridge Rock Fest, done. Firefly Music Festival, That's no more. The Imagine Festival, Life is Beautiful, Lovers and Friend Fest. I know that I realize that a lot of you probably haven't heard of some of these. Sonic Bloom, that was canceled. Let's see, in UK, there was a bunch that was canceled as well. Like We Are Festival, canceled. The Standing Calling, done. Neighborhood Weekender is canceled. The Connect Music Festival, so on and so forth. There's over 20 that was just named this year, and that's not including Lollapalooza Paris or Sinch New World in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to why, and I think the answer as to why it's canceled is the most obvious one. They didn't generate the ticket sales that they thought they were going to generate, and this might be because single day tickets are reportedly selling for $450.
That's insane.
Right. That's a car payment. That's a
Yes.
very nice car payment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's the most you've ever spent on tickets? On a single ticket item?
Probably $85.
Right. Now, of course, music festivals are a different beast all in itself. Like if you go to Coachella, that's a 3-day camping experience,
Right.
yada, yada, yada. But even that, they're financing tickets now. And considering that there's so many of these mega festivals out there, what makes them special? In previous years, Sinch New World, they only had 2 successful runs. It was the 2 prior years, and that's because it was headlined by System of a Down, who happened to not be touring at all anymore.
Correct. That was the only way to be able to see them.
Yes, and this year there was an exception because, System of a Down then played Golden State Park or whatever, Golden Gate Park. But we found out in hindsight that that's because they weren't going to do next year's Sinch New World, and Surge is giving the fellow members of System of a Down their 2 System of a Down paydays and just calling it a day.
Right. Well,
Well-
and like we were going to go to Electric Daisy Carnival a
Okay.
couple years ago. And yeah, so for our 4 tickets for the 3 days or whatever, that was going to come to $2,000.
Right.
And then we actually ended up canceling them because we couldn't get camping. You couldn't get a campsite, which was going to be an additional like $1,500 or something.
Well, you got to keep in mind, too, the bigger the festival, the bigger the cluster F possibility. And a lot of these festivals are kind of just thrown together with a lot of like part-timers or volunteers, so the communication is lax.
Right.
I find it interesting as well as the music industry has changed in a way where you would say 10 years ago, DJs were overpriced, right? DJs make an obscene amount of money. And then festival culture and the business popped up and started to grow. And now bands started making an obscene amount of money, which is good because, you know what? There's more people under the umbrella of a successful rock group or
Right.
music group that need to get paid successfully, but they couldn't make that same amount of money if they were doing a headlining tour on their own.
No, because first of all, they got to foot it and then hopefully make that money back.
Right. Even if they sold out a coast-to-coast tour, they would not make enough in one single night that they would make at a Sinch New World. They would make
Correct.
10 times the amount playing a festival as opposed to doing a headlining tour. So obviously, bands were opting to take the payday, but that was at the expense of the consumer and the fan,
Right.
right?
Well, and the fact that they're basing it all on that first day of ticket sales. If they don't hit a certain mark, they're like, nope, we're out.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know, you did it right. You started selling tickets right before the Christmas season.
No,
You
no.
would probably see it pick back up again in January, but they don't want to take the risk.
No, considering that a lot of these have like, down payment plans and whatnot to secure your ticket, they know from the first 36 hours if it's going to be a success or a bust because they've been in this business, right? So why is this good news for us? Because obviously we can't make the road trip to Vegas to see Sinch New World. That's bad news in the short term. The long term is more and more of these festivals, considering that the business model is inflated, means that this bubble is bursting right before our very eyes, which means the value of these bands will go down to a reasonable price where these bands can still make money and it won't cost me my firstborn to go see them.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and we're, because, KFMA Day, right? We're not the only local rock station to throw these kind of one day, 6 bands on the stage
All of them do
yearly
it.
thing. Like, they
Or
all
used
do
to.
it.
Well, used to.
Exactly. They used to be able to do it, but they can't because of these huge festivals. So
yes, well, that's part of the reason for sure, and I would say the largest contributing factor to it. So with that said, it's still possible that we could probably pull off a KFMA day for next year if the booking agents and the talent companies give us reasonable quotes.
Right. That's all we're asking for, reasonable quotes. We're not asking for a huge discount.
Right, exactly.
Just be reasonable.
So I want Metallica for $9.99.
Right.
So that's why the bad news of Sinch New World canceling could be good news for us. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Keeping the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast, you can join us youtube.com/Beef Vegan. Here's Jelly Roll with Liar on Rock 102.1. Yeah, so, let me ask you, same question. I'm glad you guys are answering this already, but what's the most you ever spent for tickets? Vanessa said $350 for Slipknot and Disturbed. That was 2 floor tickets 15 years ago. That's a shit ton. $250 for Metallica. It was birthday, so he said F it. Mm-hmm. That's appropriate. So
yeah, I would say probably $85, on a ticket. But that was Metallica in San Diego. Years ago, obviously. I'm talking probably 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But then factor in hotel and gas and all these other things, it adds up so fast.
I know. Yeah, especially for camping and all that. I mean, it's an experience and it could be worth it to some. I would still want to do Bonnaroo. Just for the sake of it being Tennessee and the the climate there, and then the diverse lineup. I think it would be good. It seems like a good place to do mushrooms.
I would say the most tempting one I've had has been Aftershock Festival.
Okay,
that is
Sacramento.
One where I'm but here's the thing: I have actually never done a multi-day festival. I am one of those where I'm I don't know for me if it's worth it. Because, you've been to concerts where it's okay, there's 5 or 6 bands on the lineup, and it's that's a long 7-8 hours. It sucks.
Right.
To imagine doing that 10 hours, 3 days in a row, that to me seems exhausting. And I'm not a big partier. I'm not going to sit there and drink, you know what I mean? And I'm also kind of a cheap ass. I don't want to spend, I would want to camp and bring my own food and my own water. I don't want to spend $10 on a water bottle. That seems insane. And then, of course, when I hear the horror stories, I'm how is this worth it to anyone?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell you, here's bad news, though. If we do KFMA Day and you want a bottle of water, it's going to cost you about $10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is.
That's fair.
Lots of vendors here. So Patrick's asking if you watched the Knock Loose performance on Jimmy Kimmel.
I did, and I just saw Knock Loose, about a month ago at the Rialto, and that was an amazing show. So to be able to see Poppy come on stage for that song, the joke's going around that basically it's his little sister. But
okay.
I thought it was a great performance. And yes, I've seen all the articles about so many people complained.
Right. So there is controversy around this performance, which I wanted to touch on here in a second, just because I need to know. I want to get down to the bottom of this. Let's see. And I'm trying to pull up the Instagram page of the Knock Loose lead singer right now. Do you have that? Do you follow him?
Brian?
Well, don't look it up on your laptop. I was going to have you look it up on the main computer and I could share the screen. But if you're not logged in, then don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. What's up, Danny? Good to see you on there. Let's see. I had VIP for Sinch New World this year. Ended up refunding through insurance. $1,400. Wow. Used refund to pay for System of a Down in San Francisco. Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's good. 65 for Hawthorne Heights. That's not that bad. 250 for Weird Al. Fucking nerd. Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
Of course. All right, here we go. Rock 102.1 KF, man. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. All right, so we had a question on a podcast broadcast from Patrick asking Weirdo if she watched the Knocked Loose performance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. I've been seeing headlines about this because apparently this performance was controversial. Why is it controversial?
For no reason, really, when it comes down to it. People just, I guess metal music is still just shocking to people in this day and age.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, so it's their Grammy-nominated song, Suffocate, with Poppy, because Poppy's been kind of like going around to different genres, and she absolutely killed it on the song, which is awesome. And so Jimmy Kimmel brought them on, that outdoor stage, it's raining, and the biggest complaint was that there was moshers the complaints were coming from people on their couches on Facebook. So like
Right.
it makes absolutely no sense. It's like, okay, I don't know, it's just like the internet. Don't like something, keep scrolling. Don't like this, change the channel. But people are like, it ruined my Jimmy Kimmel experience. It's like, shut up.
Okay, Karen. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Jimmy Kimmel has always been kind of a late night show that's been focused on giving young up and coming bands, a spotlight. Knock Loose is not young or up and coming. They're pretty established.
They're very established, but they have really been making huge strides in the last couple years with going on tour with like Motionless in White and another band that I can't think of right now.
Okay, yeah. And you just recently saw them at Rialto Theater, which they tore the house down.
Yes, they did. Oh my God, that was such a fun show. There was some dude dressed up as Jesus because it was around Halloween and it was stage diving. It was a great job.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But with Knock Loose, like anytime, and this is especially close to my heart, right? Like you have that moment when you discovered kind of like rock and hard metal that you were like, holy crap, this just opened up my eyes, right?
Yeah,
for me, it was Metallica in 6th grade. And now there are people that are coming back at these, people are complaining, being like, listen, some kid just heard metal for the first time and had a major life-changing moment in his living room last night. Like, don't take that away.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just Jimmy Kimmel, but like, the other late night shows, like Conan O'Brien has featured other bands that like you normally wouldn't hear about. Same with Stephen Colbert. So I still think it's a great platform to be able to introduce new music and new bands to people, whether it's pop or rock or metal.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Now, it is crazy that there is controversy around this, but the lead singer of Knock Loose, Brian Garris, did officially, comment on the scandal around it. We're going to share that video with you on the podcast broadcast. You can join youtube.com/Beef Vegan. So hear what he'll have to say. And honestly, he's kind of celebrating it. He's like, if it scared you, good.
Yeah.
It's
Nailed
art. It's supposed to. So join us, youtube.com/Beef Vegan. We got more, including weird news and weirdo coming up after music from 9 Inch Nails and Blink-182 on Rock 102.1 KFMA. All right, let's see. I should have this right here. Okay, so in fact, actually, he's not speaking. This is his official statement, and I'll show you. He shared the post. Here, I'm going to share this. So this is the post that he shared on his Instagram page, where you're going to read this statement. And it says, you may have seen it already. You may have not. I've been lucky enough that my timeline is flooded with so much support that every time I open up, I see it every time I open up the phone, but I wanted a chance to post it about it myself. The other day, Knock Loose performed in Jimmy Kimmel Live. For a long time, our goal has been to see how far we could squeeze this band into places that we don't fit. And I think this may be the biggest one, national television. It feels like the ceiling gets higher for everyone. Every single day we celebrate together. Walking down the hallway as we were escorted to the stage, I'm looking to my left and right and seeing photos of all the celebrities that have been on the show over the years, presidents, actors, musicians, etc. I leaned over to my bandmate and said, this started in your garage. He grabbed onto me and squeezed as hard as he could. That's a moment I'll never forget. P.S. If it scared you, good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's here's a little clip of this. Yeah, that's a metal show. That's a metalcore show. Nothing new to anyone who's been a fan and following the genre for a long time.
Right, and their latest album, like I've really enjoyed it because they have really done well with deathcore, hardcore, and kind of like this new metal, like back from the 90s and 2000s. That kind of new metal swing, almost like Korn had on their first couple albums, is also snuck in there. It's really good.
Okay.
It's a really good album.
Yeah, the only reason why I didn't go, well, two reasons. It was a weeknight show, and it knocked loose, and I'm like, I'm not necessarily, I don't know that much about Knocked Loose, I'll be honest with you. And then they didn't even want to do any radio promo. I'm surprised we even had tickets to give away to internally to like Rico, because Rico wanted to go, Mari went, you went. A lot of people wanted to go to that show. They wanted to see how they could sell the show without radio support. And I can respect that. But at the same time, I could also resent that.
Right.
So I was walking this fine line of respect and resentment, that I was just like, like you guys should be in studio hanging with us, talking about stuff. But at the same time, you're like, fuck radio. I'm like, oh man, this is my livelihood. And it's like me saying fuck new metal and whatever metalcore genre you identify with. If any, I would know the answer if he would have just came in and let us support. But
oh yeah, that would have been dope.
Can't win them all, you know.
Well, I mean, because my boyfriend and I, we're on Spotify all the time, like discovering new bands, and so it was through Lorna Shore that it got suggested to us for Knock Loose, and just freaking love the hell out of him. And then of course, did a song Slaughterhouse with Motionless in White, and so they had it's called Slaughterhouse, super good, and they did Slaughterhouse 2. They did a second version on Knock Loose's album. So that was really cool to see kind of both of those. And especially with Chris Motionless screaming way more than he normally does.
Nice.
I don't think he did any clean vocals on that track.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, I think in a way he has to be competitive and show everyone out there that, how hardcore he is. And rightfully so. All right, Jeff's asking what I thought of WWE War Games. I can't get too into it because Weirdo's going to watch it with her husband tonight. So I don't want to give any spoilers.
I've seen a couple clips, but I do not know any of the outcomes for the matches.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
To be able to avoid that. It was a well done War Games. The main event War Games I thought was good. A good storytelling. The triple threat stole the show. So keep an eye on that. The women's War Games match was okay, and then they kind of start off with that. So, yeah, overall, it was a good War Games. I'm excited to see where the storylines go. I was disappointed at the lack of... I thought, like many people who were watching, were hoping that there would be a couple surprises. So the one spoiler that I will give you is that nobody showed up to War Games that wasn't announced for War Games.
Yeah, because that's kind of been their shtick for a while now, is like having these like big returns, like unexpected returns now for about a year.
Well, then that would argue, that would lead to the argument that it was a good time not to do that, because when you're expecting a surprise, it's not a surprise, right? So you're going to have to...
I saw this coming. I could have wrote it with a crayon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So pull it back and then and drop it on them when they least expect it. I will say this, though. When New Year's hits and WWE moves to Netflix, there will be some massive comebacks and announcements happening. They announced that they're going to be doing Elimination Chamber in a stadium in Toronto, which is like 6 months away. So they were in Vancouver for, War Games, which was an arena. They announced that was the record-breaking gate, just meaning that the tickets are more expensive. All right. And then they said, okay, so we're doing more and more stadium shows. Our next stadium show is going to be Elimination Chamber in Toronto. And it's going to be the last time that you're going to see John Cena in Toronto. Yeah. So this is something that you're going to hear repeated as a WWE fan for the next 12 months, is they're going to announce these big shows and say, oh, by the way, John Cena's last ever performance will be in this city at this big show. So that's their selling point going into the farewell tour of John Cena.
Yep.
What do you want to see in John Cena's final year performing? Do you want to see him become champion again? Do you want him to put over everybody? Do you want him to be unstoppable Super Cena? What do you want?
I mean, unstoppable Super Cena is always fun, but I don't know necessarily a championship needs to happen. Right? Because last year when they were trying to do The Rock and Roman Reigns, and then that, the fans wanted Cody Rhodes, I would have been so mad if they had made Rock champion. If that's how Roman Reigns would have ended, I would have been like, that's dumb. And I'm a fan of lip service. I really am. I'm like, give me all the cheesy, do all the callbacks. I love nostalgia. So that's more so what I want to see from John Cena, especially Cena is hilarious.
Yes.
I find him very funny. He has a really good sense of humor about himself. Just let him do that. Bring back some people that will make it funny. You know what I mean? Even, have a moment with The Rock. You know what I mean? Because they had a big feud for a long time.
Oh, no. Yeah, The Rock is definitely going to, have some sort of interaction with him before the year's over for sure. Will it happen at WrestleMania? Will it happen at SummerSlam? I don't know.
Right. So, I'm going to probably find all the build up to it the most enjoyable. And then however they end it is how they end it. Hopefully, they let Cena have, kind of 90% of that control of how he wants to see it end.
He has 100% of that control.
Good.
And that's the one thing about it, which will be good to see because I think he'll do what's right for not only the fan service, but for the business. So, all right, earlier this morning, we returned with a popular segment that we haven't done in quite some time. It was the confession session with Weirdo. And in case you missed it, it went a little something like this. Check it out. 4th. Now it's like a super group.
Yeah.
That was, of course, an old school song for 3 Days Grace. Are you excited about the new rendition of 3 Days Grace?
I am.
Yeah, the new song is a banger, too.
Yeah.
I think we put it in rotation almost immediately. But that's neither here nor there. This is the return of one of my favorite segments. Now, Weirdo gets odd confessions sent to her all the time through her social media at 666weirdo or at weirdo@kfma.com. And this is a confession session. So you could anonymously confess to things with us and maybe even get some solicited advice. Weirdo, what's the first confession you have for us this morning?
Well, this first person obviously knew that I was poly, so coming to me for poly advice is not that uncommon. And
Right.
in this one, he said, after years of pleading, I finally convinced my wife to try an open relationship.
Okay.
We're now both on dating apps. She has over 2,000 likes, few dates in the books, and has already slept with 3 men. I have gotten 0 attention despite redoing my profile and paying for boosts.
Yep.
This is so not uncommon that the person who is like, yeah, let's do this, ends up kind of regretting it.
Yeah, well, especially when that person's a dude. Yeah, like the grass is so green on the other side of the fence, right? Oh, all these opportunities. No, bro, you never had those opportunities in the first place.
No, you didn't. Also, you didn't, like, anybody who jumps into it without, like, really talking about it and making sure that this is a thing, take your time.
Right.
I mean, it was probably a full year of my husband and I talking about it before we enacted it.
Yeah, and this was something that was your desire as well. I'm sure,
Yes.
knowing your husband, it wasn't like he was real anxious to get out there in the dating pool again.
Actually, at first, he stayed monogamous and I was poly.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because he was like, I did enough rejections in my 20s. I'm good.
Right. And be like, no, yeah, it's so much easier when you have a wife. Not, So,
Nope.
yeah, let that be a lesson to all guys out there. If you think if you're going to do the open relationship thing, just know you're opening the floodgates to your wife, no matter how she looks, because men out here, they'll get it. They want it. And and for guys, you have to be, a special kind of charming and good looking and all that good stuff to connect with
Yes.
women who are willing to be the third or fourth in your relationship.
Well, you just mentioned about dudes like, they're going to go for women because, women
Yeah.
are awesome. And this woman, she messaged me saying that she's been talking to a guy recently, gone on a couple dates, going really well, but it's quickly approaching some bedroom time.
Okay,
And she's feeling super self-conscious because she has recently lost 75 pounds.
that's good.
And she's saying that her breast shape has suffered badly. They're
Right.
sagging, they're a little asymmetrical, and she's afraid that the guy will be disgusted by the way that they look.
No, don't be.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I say. All boobs are awesome.
Well, that's not true either. I've seen some pretty terrible boobs.
But you still played with them.
Yeah. There's still, and especially if you guys are dating the right way, and there's a real attraction and a mutual connection there. It's worth giving a shot as opposed to just assuming that it wouldn't work out because you don't have perfect breasts, and you
Right.
could always get perfect breasts if you wanted them.
Well, and I totally related to this as well because when I got with my husband, I had 3 children.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling too great in that department either. And we were getting a little hot and heavy. And he goes, take off my bra. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. And he's like, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see. And then immediately made me feel like the most beautiful woman.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of mom boobs over like fake boobs. I've seen fake boobs where I just did not have fun mom boobs all day long. So yes, absolutely. It's natural and still wildly attractive. So
Yes.
don't be surprised if the dude you're talking to loves it.
Yes.
All right. You got one more confession for
I
us?
do.
All right, go for it.
So I have been married for nearly 40 years and came from the family of the old school philosophy of never getting divorced.
Uh-huh.
Well, my husband, as we've aged, he has become more racist and more homophobic.
Jesus.
And he is a read the headline but not the article kind of guy.
Oh,
So I
yes.
knew he wouldn't bother reading our joint will before signing it. And I have donated 50% of our assets in cash to be left to the ACLU and the NCAAP.
Oh.
I'm far too old for divorce, but not too old for a bit of revenge.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, unfortunately, it seems like the women outlive the men in most scenarios. So in this situation, you'll probably have that money and you're donating it, which is still good in
Yeah.
his name, but he might not live to see that.
Yeah.
Still
But
pretty cool.
Still, I think that's genius.
Yeah, that is brilliant. Excellent confession. Keep those confessions coming. Email Weirdo, even if you just want to shout her out and say hi, weirdo@kfma.com. Got your Florida Man story of the week coming up next and so much more. Keep it right here on Rock 102.1 KFMA. All right, we're back about to go live here with some weird news, and then afterwards, for a segment after Breaking Ben, I got this crazy scientific way to get any song that's stuck in your head out of your head immediately. Yeah, and there's an audio clip that does it.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's
I
want to
hear this.
Yeah, you're gonna hear it.
Okay.
All right, let's get on here though. Rockwell 2.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. The world is a weird place, and here to document and share those stories with us is Weirdo. Weirdo, what do you got for us in weird news?
Well, there's actually a lot of weird news. I want to do something like festive for the season, but I came across this one, and I just have to talk about it because
Okay.
gross.
Okay, what's that?
So Japan, which, they can be quite famous for introducing weird foods, now is going to have a drinkable mayo.
Disgusting. And
No.
how dare you, Japan?
You're right.
Continuing with the odd, weird, gross things that should never be food.
No. Yeah, so
Yes.
it's called No Moo Mayo, which
Ugh.
is just weird. And it's introduced by the convenience store chain Lawson, packaged in a sleek silver cup with a design resembling a classic mayo bottle.
I see it. Oh, so gross.
It promises the richness and sourness of mayonnaise reproduced in a chill beverage.
It looks like milk too. What a way to prank somebody. Here we go. We got 5 months before April 1st.
Right.
If you want to be a legendary prankster, right? You order this online, it'll get shipped to you, and then replace that with a milk jug and to somebody in your house or your roommate. And when they fill up their cereal with this, instant vomit fest.
Right, yeah.
Disgusting.
Well,
My God.
And some testers have come out with their commentary on it, and one compared it to the taste of watery dressing left behind in a salad bowl.
That's not selling me.
No.
I mean, I do like that, but everything about this is gross, and streamers are puking as well. So
Yeah, considering the company describes it as the drink, a long-awaited new product for mayonnaise lovers. Nobody wanted this.
yeah, dude.
Nobody.
And if you're a mayonnaise lover, then you got issues.
Yeah. I feel like you just make this at home for yourself if you want it that badly. Just take your mayo and water it down and then stick it in the fridge
Yep. Exactly.
and then throw it away.
Right. So Japan always leading the pack when it comes to the world of weird. What else we got going on in the news?
So gross. All right, so this one I'm actually a little bummed about because anything that's like a tourist attraction that helps a local economy is always good. And unfortunately, somebody has destroyed a local touristy kind of attraction in a small English town.
Okay.
So there was the movie Christmas Carol in 1984. It was on CBS.
Yes, actually just oh no, Christmas Carol. Okay.
Yeah, Christmas Carol, yes.
All right.
Anyway, so they did make an Ebenezer Scrooge tombstone. There's no actual grave under it, but the cemetery, they left it, and it kind of became this seasonal kind of really fun thing to do. Go do a cemetery tour, and then you'd get to see Ebenezer Scrooge's headstone, and somebody has destroyed it. You can't even see the name anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
So somebody was super mad and got screwed over one too many Christmases, went into with a vendetta to destroy that?
Apparently, they have not caught the person that's done it.
It's probably some teenager.
Right.
Who's just like, Ebenezer Scrooge was a bad guy, and done it up. I guess that's sad for, tourists and super fans. I know, one dude, personally, he was probably cried over the news that Ebenezer Scrooge's tombstone was decimated, but it was a fictional character, fictional tombstone, so why even have it?
Right, but when you like anything in Tucson, right? Like anything that's local to your town that kind of has that lore around it or that attraction, it's still a bummer when it gets taken down or it gets destroyed.
Yeah, that's true. Sad and strange at the same time. Give us one more weird news story here, Weirdo.
Well, it's traveling time in the good old USA and in the world for Christmas, and you must be careful about what you bring with you on the plane. Always check the TSA's website. But this item, I would not have expected to be now kind of blacklisted because they think it's a bomb.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So if you are thinking of gifting somebody that you're going to visit a snow globe, buy it when you get there. Do not take it on the plane with you.
So this must have been an extravagant snow globe, right? Where did it tick? What made them freak out?
That's what happened. It had got wound up a little bit and it was making the ticking noise. And then, of course, the little motor inside was probably worrying it enough. And that's what they heard. And they checked the luggage. And it was pretty fancy snow globe at that.
Yeah, well, it's funny, too, because obviously snow globes are kind of, becoming extinct in a way, and not necessarily like the go-to sought after gift, but they're still the niche quality to them.
Yeah, and especially if you find a really good one that just looks really pretty and plays some music, like that could be a really nice gift for, like, I don't know, a grandma or a great aunt.
Yeah, as long as TSA doesn't explode it. Yeah, so that's what they did, huh? Did they damage the snow globe?
They did not damage the snow globe.
Okay.
Thank God. Was returned to the person. But yes, because of the electronics and the timer, they were like, oh no.
How pissed would you be that you missed your flight or you were delayed at the airport for 6 hours and it turned out to be a novelty item like a snow globe or a magnet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got delayed. I had I had my little stuffed animal with me to travel with me, and I made him weighted, and I also put like an amethyst crystal like in his head, because it's gonna make you nice and calm, things like that. And it got flagged by TSA.
Yeah.
So I'm just standing there, and I'm like, why is it? And then it suddenly dawned on me. I was like, he has an amethyst in his head. He's like, I still have to wipe it down. So I watched a grown TSA agent wipe my stuffy animal's butt with that stupid water.
Right, yeah, just so it didn't contain meth or anything else.
Right.
And I'll give you an example on the podcast broadcast of a man who did just that in a very odd way of trying to smuggle meth on the airlines that involved cow pajamas. I'll share that story on the podcast broadcast. When we come back, science has cracked the code on how to remove any song that's stuck in your head with a short audio clip. I'm going to share that audio clip with you after a song that will get stuck in your head. Breaking Ben's Diary of Jane. Ski right here on Rock 102.1 KFMA or join us, youtube.com/Beef Vegan. All right, so yeah, this story of the meth pajamas. A guy had, so he was stopped at the airport. 31-year-old man from California was arrested after being stopped by the TSA. Because they found clothing items in his bag, including a cow pajama onesie that was caked in meth. All right. So he had the entire onesie caked in meth. And that was, his, like how he was going to smuggle it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it was dried and stiff. And that's how they were like, hey, something's weird with your pajamas here. It's like you jizzed all over it and you let it dry. And it's like, he's like, yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Just lots
that's
of
exactly
jizz.
it.
You're like, no, judging by the looks of you, it's probably meth.
All of our search dogs are getting real excited.
Yeah, in fact, actually, this is what it looked like. It does look jizzy. Ugh. But yeah, so basically his idea was he was going to, get to wherever he was going. I know, it does look like he just loved all over it.
Gross.
And what a great way to be like, you don't want to touch that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, okay.
You know what? I believe you.
Yeah. Usually when they say you don't want to touch that, it's either one or two things.
Even the fluffy
illicit
hair's
drugs.
all gross.
Or jizz, yeah. Yes. So he got liquid meth. He dried it on the onesie. And the total weight of the meth cake clothes was around 71.5 pounds. So he soaked it.
Okay, so he soaked it. Then what was he going to do with it after? Like, how do you...
Basically, it dries, and then you could turn it back into a powder just by, you just crumple it up, and then it just money just dropping from the pajamas. Fortunately enough, they were able to figure it out. They caught him. They charged him with possession with intent to distribute, and he faces 10 years to life in federal prison.
Oh, man, he must have thought he was so clever, though, while he was doing it.
Well, most meth heads do, They're just like MacGyvers when it comes to this. And honestly, just getting a look at it, you're just like, gross. And you're not thinking anything else, but that's where we're at in society today.
Right. And that just shows how much I don't know about drugs. I didn't know meth was ever in a liquid form.
Well, I think you could make anything liquid at this point. I have a bottle of liquid THC at my home I'm afraid to touch.
Oh, that's true.
Okay,
so why are you so scared?
I'm a puss.
Okay.
All right, so Dave said he'll try the liquid mayo. And so, yes, Dave, if I buy this, and I might, and Mari goes to Japan all the time, and so if I can't get it shipped to me, I could possibly get her to bring it back, and that is a live on-air challenge for sure, Dave, and I would definitely have you in the podcast broadcast to attempt to try that, and I would have extra garbage cans available for me to throw up in.
Or maybe have Chef Gary come in and make it.
No, he makes it too good. That was the problem with Chef Gary. He made testicles delicious. And it's probably why he's married.
Need to have him come back with some more deviled eggs for me.
Yeah, exactly. He made deviled eggs in the parking lot, and those were delicious. So, all right, as we get ready for this next segment, earlier this morning, Weirdo and I shot the shit about this. In case you missed it, one little something like presents. Good morning, Weirdo.
Good morning.
All right, Weirdo just came hobbling in here. So now I'm concerned. Every time I see you, there's a new drastic change in your life. Now you only got one leg?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. Well, it just reminded me this morning, like when I came in after my gallbladder surgery. Like, I soldier on. We went rock climbing on Mount Lemon, and where we were set up was still a very sharp incline. And packing up to leave, my boyfriend's standing on a rock that he thought was secure, and it wasn't.
So what, like an avalanche of rocks started coming down your direction?
Just one, when we're guessing it was about 15, 20 pounds, and it just turned into a wheel and about 30, 40 feet down the hill, right into my ankle.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my kids were standing next to me, and like that was my first concern. Oh, crap, is it going to hit them?
Yeah, it's like you're inadvertently going to kill your kids when you're just going on like a fit, healthy family excursion.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So I realized I was like, okay, it's not going to hit them, and then I was like, oh, it's going to hit me. Boom, and that was it. Yeah, all he got out was rock, rock, rock. Like it happened that fast.
Wow. So now you came in on crutches.
Yeah.
Is it broken?
According to one x-ray, no.
Okay.
But they're like, if it doesn't feel better in a couple of days, redo the x-ray. It might still be broken. I was like, thanks.
Great.
What about all this soft tissue damage? What do I do? I didn't get a whole lot of direction, so I'll be going to the doctor later today.
So you're just basically going to be hopping around nonstop for the next couple weeks?
I have no idea.
Well,
we're going to find out.
You're still a trooper for coming in, and I appreciate that, but oh my God, yeah, the pictures look pretty painful too.
Yeah.
Are you going to post them?
I can't. Yeah.
Or
yeah,
no,
you know
you'll probably
what?
get flagged on social media,
Oh,
honestly.
that's true.
Yeah? Well,
Yeah. Because I've posted injuries before, and all the time it's like, this is inappropriate.
Yeah. See, this is why I don't do anything outside of like couch surfing and stuff. That's the more extreme and fit you are, the more danger you're putting yourself in.
Honestly, this is probably the worst injury I've ever gotten. I've only ever broken one bone in my body, and it was the smallest bone in my little pinky toe because I kicked the crap out of something.
That happens.
Otherwise, this is probably the worst that I've been out.
Yeah.
Like, I've never had crutches before, never broken a bone, well, other than that tiny little one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, this sucks.
Okay, so you're on day 3 of crutches, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how are you adjusting to that? What's the weirdest thing about having crutches?
The little movements.
Okay.
Like, I can't just make, like, little shuffles in the kitchen. Like, I have to have a freaking crutch under me. It's so annoying. But I know how to properly use crutches, so, like, my armpits don't hurt or anything like that.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sucks that you're like 2 months removed from like Halloween because you could have just been a pirate. It would
I
have
know,
been great.
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you had Ali help open the door for you
Yeah.
this morning. Like, how were you, what's the most difficult task to do? Opening doors or...
Again, the small movements of like, oh, I'm thirsty. Crap, my water bottle's in the other room. Now I got to get up. Just everything feels a little less tiring or a little more tiring.
Are there any stairs in your future?
No.
That's good.
No.
Yeah, everything's for one story.
Correct.
It's a good thing we don't live in like a high-rise city,
Exactly.
Yeah.
With a broken elevator. That would suck. I don't know how people do that.
They don't.
They just stay in their house.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, that's good. Keep it elevated. And, I hear laughter is the best medicine.
Exactly.
So, hopefully we'll heal that ankle before the end of the day is over. Let's do some headlines while we're at it here because, there's tons of news here in the world. And we only have just a bit of time to address all the leftovers. So let's get right into it. First off, a car dealer in New Zealand refused to send a couple their $15,000 refund. And
Rude.
Instead of, refunding them and doing the right business move, they decided to troll them. Now, this is in New Zealand, I guess. Car dealers are still kind of old school cliche scumbag. That used to be the stigma of a used car salesman.
Right.
I think the business has changed since then, but not in New Zealand. So instead of giving this couple a $15,000 refund, he sent them pictures of poop instead. And it wasn't the emoji poop, too. It was his actual poop. Basically, like, eat this. So adding insult to injury, now there's a big lawsuit involved. That's happening in New Zealand. A 26-year-old man in South Korea was found guilty of deliberately gaining weight to avoid mandatory military service. This is kind of brilliant in a way. Now, in South Korea, of course, it's just mandatory. You have to go.
Right.
But there was no way for him to get out of it. If he was flat-footed, hairline fractured, didn't matter. He would still have to go. But, depending on your physical status, determines what your job is going to be. Right now, of course, there's constant conflict between South Korea and North Korea. So the threat of a potential war is like
Always looming.
absolutely. So he didn't want to be on the front lines doing active combat military service. He wanted a desk job.
Right.
So he decided to get his ass fat. In fact, he got up to over 225 pounds.
Wow.
And now he was charged with this crime, and he had an accomplice as well. I got to interrupt that previous clip we're playing on the podcast broadcast because we're back here live. And real quick, I just want to share with you this fascinating scientific new invention, I would say. It's somewhat of an invention. Science has figured out a way to get a song unstuck from your head. Now, I've heard several different factors of how to get a song unstuck from your head. The one that stuck with me the most is you have to finish the song. A lot of times, a song gets stuck in the head because you don't finish it. Like, you basically get out of the car when the song's halfway through and now that song's stuck in your head. So you kind of have to sing it to completion.
Right.
And that was one way. But there's actually a 40-second audio track they call the Earworm Eraser. And they claim that listening to it can supposedly get songs unstuck from your head. And that's because it's constantly changing tempos, time signatures, and musical styles. So it won't just be another earworm to replace the one you're trying to get rid of. Basically, they're not trying to replace the song that's stuck in your head with another song because then that's pointless, right?
Right.
But let's see. Like, I mean, it's Christmas season, so if I mention Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You," that song's gonna immediately get stuck in your head.
I hate you so much
I
right now.
know because I'm just telling you. I think there's something to it when it came to being brainwashed as a society. I think our entire globe has been brainwashed by this song, so you can't help but think of that stupid song whenever it's even mentioned, and you can't avoid it during December. All I want is Christmas is you, right? It's in your head. Right?
It's there.
Okay. Well, let's share this and let's clear that out of your head. So here's the clip in question. Let's check it out. All right.
Okay.
All right. And we're done. How do you feel?
Like, I have no thoughts in my head at all, actually. Like, oh my God, did this just make my head quiet? I don't think that's ever happened before.
I'll tell you what, the visual from that video as well is kind of
it's good.
psychedelic. Yeah,
That was good.
Yeah, I'll send you the link if you want it. You can email me, beef@kfma.com. Let's keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast. Coming back with your beef tip after these words. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what were we doing? I totally forgot what we were doing right now.
Right, like I went to a whole different world for a minute.
Yeah. So Jay on YouTube, he joined the stream where he said this is the second Acid Bath show to cancel on me, talking about Sinch New World. So thanks for checking out the podcast broadcast there, Jay. And, you know, like I said, yes, this is bad news for people who are planning on going to Sinch New World, but good news for the industry as a whole because I do believe we're going to have affordable concerts to be able to go to here shortly. But soon enough, I would hope. So fingers crossed on that. I'll give you another confession here since, you know, I know it's not, well, usually we do confession sessions on Wednesdays, but that's switching to Mondays and Fridays with the Return of Weirdo, which I can't be happier about. But here's a confession. When I come across videos that involve children in eyeglasses, it hits a soft spot inside me, right?
Okay.
I get a little teary-eyed because I remember my daughter she had like a lazy eye and she had vision problems since birth. And, you know, getting a toddler eyeglasses is, you know, it's heavy. It's heavy on you because you're like, you know, you want your little baby to be perfect and you're acknowledging the imperfections. Then you're also concerned like, oh no, is she going to be made fun of because of this?
Right.
And, you know, like,
Right. I was in the same position with my now 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I think he was 3.
yeah. So
when he got his?
you're going to see this video. This video has gone viral on TikTok for all the right reasons. This is a baby whose vision is so bad, is practically blind. And the technology and the science that they have behind being able to prescribe like children who can't communicate accurate prescriptions for eyeglasses is still mind-blowing to me.
Right.
They can figure it out without you saying anything. Makes me
They take a picture now at the doctor's office, and they'll tell you whether they're nearsighted or farsighted.
Right. It's crazy, right? So this baby, this poor little lad here, has a vision problem and probably couldn't see basically anything. Of course, can't say this. And, he got his first pair of eyeglasses just the other day, and his parents recorded it. And, of course, since it's 2024, immediately posted on TikTok,
right,
where it went viral for all the right reasons. And I'll show you why.
It's going to make me cry.
Yes, it's going to make you cry. And for all the good reasons. Check this out. Look at this kid. Just first off, it's like, get off my face. What are you doing? You're squishing my eyelid. Yeah, so little. And then.
Oh.
Hi, baby. Hello.
He looks like Todd.
Yeah, good. So he still has a little bit of space, but starts to pull snug right there, and you still have like a quarter inch that you can tighten.
Now he can look to where he's hearing things.
Yeah, he's seeing his mom for the first time. His dad, yeah.
I mean, God, he's only like a year old.
Yeah.
So little.
You would be bawling in that situation.
Well, yeah, and I've seen those videos too where it's like the kid that got the cochlear implant to be able to hear.
Yes.
Being able to hear for the first time, even as adults, those people getting those kind of things. And it's like, oh my God, why does the internet do this to me? Because I cry every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the same thing with my son. I mean, the kid was 3, but unfortunately they actually got the prescription wrong to begin with. Like, we had to tweak it and stuff because they were like, I was like, he's just gonna constantly take them off. They're like, no, if it's making him see, he will keep them on. But we didn't have that moment until we got the prescription adjusted and everything. And then it affected everything. Like, his balance wasn't great. He wasn't kind of taking those risks that kids normally do.
Right.
And we found out that we had to do even further. Did you know you can do physical therapy for your eyes?
Yes.
Yes, you can do vision therapy.
Yeah. Well, my daughter had to wear an eye patch for a while, but unfortunately, she wouldn't take to it. And it was one of the most frustrating things as a parent to try to keep the eye patch on, and she did wear it a lot, but probably not enough.
Right.
And her eye is still not even that strong. Sometimes it will still go a little lazy. She doesn't have a lazy eye. You wouldn't even be able to tell, but she knows how to make it lazy. And yeah, and
she just
that's
lets it droop. It's fine.
Yeah, she wants to mess with me and like basically make me feel guilty of not being the best dad. Like, oh, I'm so sorry about your eye. I'm sorry about genetics. I blame your mom. She's always cockeyed. That's her fault, I swear. It's not me. I'm genetically perfect, I swear. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. We're almost out of time here, so we're going to get into a beef tip. And there was something I wanted to talk about Miami, which I guess I will. I'll squeeze in a beef tip after this story that I did describe and put in to our description for our YouTube, because Diddy is changing the game as far as Miami parties are concerned. They'll never be the same because of all the allegations that are coming out. And I'll explain exactly what that means here in about 2 seconds. Okay. All right, before we get into a beef tip, I do want to share this story. Miami officials are setting boundaries for celebrity parties during a recent Art Basel. Art Basel is a big gathering of celebrity and rich people in Miami each and every time. But, considering that Miami parties are starting to get a spotlight on what happens at these parties, these ultra exclusive VIP for the rich and the elite and the good looking, basically Diddy parties. Be like, hey, man, you guys are doing liquid cocaine and having orgies and doing it all night long. And that's breaking some sort of city codes. Yeah. So now the Miami Beach and the City Commission requires large parties on elite areas to adhere to special requirements or face arrest. These parties are considered a commercial grade, which includes commercial grade speakers, large commercial grade party, and dance floor lighting. That's, basically it's like an overnight business, right? So the crackdowns are coming after many residents complain about, these parties keeping them up all night long. And then, of course, reading about the repercussions of said parties essentially being a multi-million-dollar crime scene, right? So it's like, if you're going to interrupt my sleep and commit lewd and unlawful acts, bitch, you better pay for that permit.
Yeah.
That's fairly. Taxpayers might need to benefit from this at some sort. So Diddy is literally like rewriting rules for all of Miami, but I'm sure that will start to happen in LA as well, depending on how well of a good swing, politically these politicians and celebrities and rich people have. Which at the end of the day, when I say that out loud, I'm like, nothing's going to change. You're just going to be like, hey, I'm better than you because I'm rich. So that's awesome. Beef tip. It is December. There are a lot of things to look forward to in December. And so here are a couple things that you can. In sports, college football's bowl games start the 14th. And there's lots of NHL and NFL action that's going to be happening. And the second annual NBA Cup tournament runs through December 17th. So that's what you got to look forward to in December. And that's pretty much your beef tip. Keep your TV on.
Yay, sports ball.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the show. But thank you guys for listening and watching along at youtube.com/beefvegan. Make sure you subscribe when you visit us there. Weirdo, excellent job as always. Robin Nash is up next. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Drive safe, ride safe, and as always, rock local. Later. Said as always twice, which is pretty amateurish. I gotta get better at my radioing, weirdo.
But if you
As always.
Speaking English in general.
Yeah.
I will knock out all your
Stupid English.
teeth.
Bye-bye.